Hi, welcome. I'm Lorelai of Namasturm Yoga. This is going to be an intermediate, advanced vinyasa flow practice. Let's get to the mat. We're going to start today in child's pose. So usually we are starting like in a seated position, but let's go ahead and just take the knees a little wide, bring the feet together, sink the hips to the heels, and lengthen the spine out for child's pose. You can let your forehead rest, and the forearms, just to note, the forearms are relaxed here too. Child's pose can be done a little more actively with like some lift in the arms, but just make it really passive for right now. This is a really good position for feeling your breath. If this position is uncomfortable for your knees or your hips or your feet and ankles, you could sit instead. So that's just a backup plan. But if you're comfortable here, just see if you can release the entire weight of the body and then feel the torso expanding in all directions as you inhale. Now on your next inhale, let's go ahead and move up to tabletop. So move your shoulders forward over the wrists. You might need to move your knees in a little bit just to adjust here. And we're going to start breathing and working into some simple cat-cow stretches. And this is really going to be our preparation for the class. So let yourself go easy. Inhale, let your head lift up, tail lift up, chest drop. Exhale, tuck your tail. Round the spine, head comes down, but you might just make them really, really small here at first. You know, especially if you're feeling any tension in your back, your hips, your shoulders. Allow yourself to take it easy. Follow the breath. Check in. So just notice how you're feeling. And then if you feel like you can expand a little bit more in either direction, you can start to incorporate a stronger practice, but don't force it. Don't force yourself to go real deep or, oh, I know I can get my back higher than that, but it's hurting, so I could push, or I could just back off. Choose the back off option. Following the breath, and you can start to move to an ujjayi practice here as well. And, I trust if you are taking this particular practice that you're familiar with some of the basics like ujjayi, but it does just involve basically the narrowing of the back of the throat. And we will practice with this breathing, which is called pranayama. So a breathing practice in yoga is pranayama. We will use this pranayama practice throughout today's class. And then we'll go back to cow again. And then the next time we go to or towards cat, we're going to go ahead and drop the hips back to the heels, taking child's pose again. Inhale, come on up. And we'll just do this a couple more times, dropping hips to heels for child's pose. Inhale, come on up. Exhale, drop back for child's pose. And then inhale, come on up, and we're going to take the right leg out to the side. So I'll turn to the side just to show, but you can stay in the same way on your mat. Just step the right leg out with the toes forward and take the right arm up, twist open, let your head fall back. Maybe looking up to the ceiling here, breathing. And come back to center. And then just simply going the other way. So the right knee comes back under the right hip, the left leg steps out, toes forward, and take your left hand up into the air, twisting open. And then coming back to center, from tabletop, we're gonna tuck the toes and we're gonna rock back, or you can walk the hands back. We're gonna come to a squat. So just let yourself transition, and maybe the heels come down, maybe they don't, maybe you're up on your toes. Either way is fine. Let's just wrap the arms around the shins here and fold in, curl in. And then hands to the floor next to the feet. We're gonna slowly, easily start to straighten the legs, but see if you can keep your belly on your thighs so that we're not actually lifting up off the legs, but the knees are so bent that our torso, and maybe it's not perfect for you, but see if you can keep your torso on your thighs. Let the head hang. And then if you want to take the hands off the ground and grab your elbows, you can. The knees are really bent though, so if you need to keep your hands there to brace you, feel free to do that. Maybe sway the head, nod or shake it a little from side to side. You might feel those legs really working here. And then take the fingers to the floor, and now just straighten the left leg. And probably your belly and thigh will no longer touch, and that's okay, but just one side at a time. And it doesn't, again, need to be completely straight, but just a little straighter. And then bend that knee again and switch to the other leg. So we're just gently straightening the right leg a little bit. And then we'll go back and forth, either side, straightening the left, and rebend and slightly straighten the right. And rebend, and then keep the knees really bent, and let's roll all the way up to standing. So wherever you are on your mat is fine at this particular point. Reach the arms out and up, and then forward fold, swan diving over your legs. Bend the knees at the bottom, inhale, roll on up, follow the breath. Exhale, forward fold over the legs. Bend the knees, inhale, rolling up. Exhale, forward fold, and then we're gonna come up one more time. So bend the knees, roll on up, reach the arms, and then bending the elbows near the ears, push the feet down, tuck your tailbone in, and lift the heart. Look up. And then reach up, gaze forward, and then open. So like a little back bend here, tuck your tail, press the feet down, lift your heart. Come on up, and then open. Come up. Make sure your hips are moving forward as you do this so that you're not crunching in the low back. One more time, come on up, and then go ahead and forward fold out over the legs. All right, so we're gonna come to a high lunge, so I'm just gonna turn around, but whatever makes most sense to come to the front of your mat, we're gonna step the right foot back and take the right knee down to the floor. Extend the toes behind you, and then the upper body's gonna come up. We're gonna lunge the hips forward toward the front heel. Take the arms up, and we're gonna grab hold of the right wrist with the left hand, and then just pull ourselves into a little side stretch over to the left as we continue to sink our hips forward toward the front heel. Breathe. And then turn, let that side stretch go. Take both hands to the floor. Step your left knee back to meet the right. And then slowly lower your chest between your hands. So what we don't want to do is drop the hips first. We really want to think about bending the elbows and carefully lowering chest down. Extend through the feet. And then let's just roll up, maybe a baby cobra here at first. Elbows stay tucked by the sides, but the shoulders are lifted. So we're just using the muscles of the upper back to lift up the upper body. Now just push a little bit more into the floor with the arms, and the elbows are not coming all the way straight, they're just straightening more so we can push ourselves up more. Notice if your legs have gone wide, I can kind of see in the video, oh, my legs are a little wide. So then I'm going to try to bring them back together, soften the glutes. The thighs are completely on the floor here. If your hips are starting to rise, maybe you need to bend your elbows and come a little further down. And then from here, we're going to tuck toes, lift knees and hips, and move it to downward facing dog. Take a little time to now pedal out the legs here on this first down dog. So bend one knee, let the opposite leg straighten. Similar to what we did standing at the top of the mat, Although now the heels can lift up and move down as well as the knees bending and switching. And then inhale, look to the front of your mat as you exhale, step or walk, or if you want, you can hop it forward. Let's bring the big toes to touch, heels slightly apart. Flat back, so reach the head away from the tail. And then folding down, and this time we're going to step the left foot back so the right leg stays forward and lower the left knee down to the ground. And we'll do this low lunge on the other side, so extend your foot back behind you. Come on up and sink the hips forward toward the front heel. Take the arms up, grab the left wrist with the right hand and pull yourself over to the right. So it's a side stretch in addition to a lunge. We're really just getting warmed up at this point, so nothing's too strenuous or vigorous just yet. We'll get to some more challenging poses and sequences in just a moment, but we want to just check in with each muscle group for the first few moments. Plant your palms, step the right knee back to meet the left. From here, you can lower down straight, but if you want to, maybe pick up the knees and just take a breath or two and plank, reaching through the head, reaching through the heels, nice and strong through the center of the body, so engaging your core. And then as you lower, maybe those knees need to come back down, but maybe chaturanga. And the elbows are bending, but we're not dropping out the hips. Everything lands together. Inhale, roll back up into cobra. And exhale, roll to downward facing dog and breathe. If you need to work the legs again, you can. But if you can find a little more stillness this time through, think about pushing forward and down with the hands and lifting the hips up and back as you inhale. Exhale, deepen, lean the chest back, maybe straighten the legs or drop your heels. Couple more breaths here. And inhale, look forward. As you exhale, step, walk, or lightly hop forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold down deep. And then we're going to reverse swan dive. So press the feet down to come up nice and strong. And exhale, palms together in front of the heart. And let's prep for our sun A's. And this is really our full body warm up where we start to get everything working together with the breath. So tune into the breath here at the top of the mat, palms press, feet press. Quads lift, but don't lock your knees. Tail tucks, but don't clench your glutes. So see if you can find that balance. Tune into your ujjayi. Establish and sync up with your rhythm. And then we're going to follow the rhythm right into our first sun A. Open the eyes, inhale, reach the arms out and up. Exhale, long forward fold to Uttanasana. Inhale, half lift to Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step to plank and lower chaturanga, or you can step, lower your knees first. Inhale, coming to up dog, or you can stay with cobra. Exhale, roll over toes, lift hips, downward facing dog, and breathe. Root down to lift up, so hands press down, tail lifts up. Pull your navel in, so it's like tucking up, making that peak a little higher if possible. And then on the next inhale, look forward between your hands. Exhale, bend the knees and step, or if you're hopping again, light. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold down deep. Press the feet. Inhale, reverse your swan dive. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. And let's just keep flowing. So keep it going with the breath. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift Ardha. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. This time just one inhale. Exhale, step or hop back forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold down deep. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale, palms together and keep it flowing. Inhale, follow the pace of your breath as you exhale. Inhale, half lift, and then making your way into the vinyasa. If you are breathing faster or slower than me, you will also be moving faster or slower than me. One inhale in down dog, and then exhale back to the top of the mat. So this really is your practice. Half lift, exhale, fold, reverse swan, and then palms together. So keep going. We'll take a few more here, but I'm gonna stop cueing so you can really tune into your own breathing rhythm. Find your own practice. You're in your own space, so really just try to tune into your own rhythm. If you need to modify, you can do that. If you want to advance it, you can throw in an extra push-up. So if you're a fan of the power yoga, feel free to do that. It will not hold you back, but I'm also not going to do it myself. Let's go ahead and just keep flowing, maybe a couple more here. Meet at the top of the mat the next time you get there. So again, take your time. You're following your own pace. You may not arrive at the same moment I do. Palms together in front of the heart. Stay with that breathing rhythm. So don't just drop it just because we've stopped moving. See if you can keep the ujjayi going. And then when you're ready, we're just going to shift to Utkatasana. So bend the knees, point them towards the toes, hips more straight down. So imagine you actually are sitting in a chair. So we don't really sit in a chair leaning forward. We stay relatively upright. We don't have a chair, so we have to hold ourselves with our quads. But that's what we want to try to imagine. Take the arms out and up. One more inhale here. And then exhale, fold over the legs again. Inhale, take a half lift, and let's start to move back through vinyasa. So 2 down dog. You can, take this vinyasa if you like it, if you want to keep it going. If you prefer to skip the vinyasas, you could just go straight to down dog instead. From down dog, we'll take the right leg into the air. Keep your hip nice and square, toes flex down, reach the heel for the ceiling. Try to keep them level, or the hips level, I should say. Look forward between the hands and step your right foot up. Let's come up for a high lunge. So front knee over ankle, we're gonna float up to crescent. Take the arms up over the shoulders, lunge into the front knee, straighten out the back leg. So if your back knee tends to bend, see if you can extend through the leg. And then we're going to take the left hand to the floor inside the right foot. Take yourself to a nice easy twist here, stacking the shoulders, maybe look up towards that top thumb. And in a moment, we're going to go to a side plank on the left. So think about the upper body is already there. We want to move the lower. So roll to the outer edge of your left foot. The ankle's not on the floor, right? So just the edge of the foot. And then walk the right foot back, maybe just halfway back with knee over ankle. Or you could step it all the way back so the inner edges of the feet line up. Lift the hips and gaze. And then turning to the floor, you can go right back through vinyasa if you want to. Or again, as I mentioned, you could skip these vinyasas and just find down dog from here. And then on an inhale, take the left leg up. So same thing, square hip. Lift the heel, toes are flexed downward, hands root down, neck is still relaxed. And then look forward, step your left foot to the front of your mat, knee over ankle. Come on up for your high lunge. Reach through the back heel, shoulders over hips, nice and strong, dynamic here. And then take the right hand to the floor inside the left foot. Fingers and toes should line up here. Shoulder stacks over wrist, just as knee stacks over ankle. And then take the left arm up. Twist yourself open. Reach through the back leg. And then rolling to the outer edge of your right foot. We're moving to side plank. Step all the way back if you can, but if you need to take the modified version, go ahead and do it. If your hips kind of shoot out of the pose, see if you can tuck them in a little. We want to be in one plane here. And then turn to the floor. You're in high plank, so lower it down. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, roll to down dog and breathe. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, step or lightly hop the feet to the top of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Let's come to chair pose. So bend the knees and sink the hips. This is Utkatasana, and we're going to take it to a twist. So it's a little more challenging twist than the easy twist we did earlier. We're going to take the left arm all the way outside the right leg. Try to keep the knees together and hips level. Moving your sternum behind your thumbs. And then let's see if we can just stand on that right foot and shoot the left leg back behind us for a high lunge twist. Fly the arms open. So I want to offer the option to bind here. So maybe this is your max, and that's fine. But if you'd like, see if you can bring that right arm around behind you, and then you're kind of feeling your right hand by your right hip. If you can go deeper, drop down with that left arm all the way outside the right leg. Flip it in so that you can bend your elbow and try to find your hands together. It's a little challenging to get there, but once you have those hands together, see if you can take your top shoulder up even more. Breathe. And then we're going to release out of whatever bind, twist, or extension you've got. Let's just simply turn to the floor. Step to plank, and you can take a vinyasa here. Breathe and rest in downward facing dog. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, step or hop feet to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, sink the hips. Inhale, come to chair. We're going to do the same thing the other side. I'm going to twist away from the camera here for a moment, but maybe you'll be able to see my hands binding. They may not get there, but you can get an idea. So we're going to take the right elbow outside of the left leg, push the top palm into the bottom. Keep the knees together. And then as easily as you can, stay on the left foot and try to step the right foot all the way back to the back of the mat, turning yourself open. Now, if you want to take the bind, so the left arm is going to come up and it's going to reach behind you, and you can kind of find it here by your right hip. Now, dropping down with the right arm, that right hand is going to crawl underneath, and maybe those fingers will find each other. And then if they do, if they can, lift your left shoulder more. Reach through that back heel. So you're holding your fingers together. The bind is giving you something to work against, and it almost helps to stabilize things. Then let that go, unwind, hands to the floor, step to plank, vinyasa. And breathing here in downward facing dog. Inhale, look to the front of the mat. Exhale, step or hop feet forward between the hands. Inhale, take a half lift. Exhale, fold down deep. Bend the knees, sink the hips. We're going to take one breath in chair pose, and then we're going to go back into vinyasa. So exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale, Chaturanga. We're going to continue to flow through just some sequencing here. So vinyasa is sort of the core of our sequence, but we're gonna add on here and there. Let's take the right leg into the air. Go ahead and modify your down dog split. So open the hip and bend the top knee, point the knee towards the sky. Heel drops to the left hip. Breathe. We're gonna move to warrior one. So look forward between your hands and step your foot all the way up. Pivot the back heel down. So instead of a crescent pose, we're rooting down through the back heel to help with the balance. We're gonna come up. Front knee is still lunging, but try to keep your hips pretty level here. In warrior one, arms go up. We are, however, gonna transition. So we're gonna take the arms out at shoulder height, wrapping the right arm under the left. So the left arm, no, sorry, left arm under the right, yeah. Lift the elbows up because we're gonna cross the left leg over the right. Lift the elbows up and lean forward. We're gonna move towards eagle pose. So the right leg stays bent as we transition. Lean in, pick up the back foot carefully as you can, balancing here. Cross your left leg over the right. Maybe just the thighs cross. If you can get your toes behind the calf, sometimes it stabilizes you, but don't worry if that's not possible. Now, because our right leg is already bent, we're almost in chair pose. That's where we're gonna go. We're gonna unwind, we're gonna uncross the legs, we're gonna take the arms up chair, and we're gonna take that twist again. So left arm outside of the right leg, push the top palm down into the bottom, and we're gonna step the left leg back again. So we just stepped it up, we're gonna step it back. We're gonna now fly the arms, and instead of binding, we're gonna float up. Reach the arms in both directions and then stretch it back. Keep lunging into your front knee. From here, we're gonna go to warrior two. So I'm gonna flip away from the camera because we're rotating our whole torso, but the legs are staying put, right? So my front leg is staying exactly where it is. My back leg is rotating down. Arms out at shoulder height, front knee over ankle. Look over your front fingertips, warrior two. This front leg is probably burning if you're anything like me. Build those quads. That's going to support your knees in the long run. Turn the front palm up. Just one breath. Reverse warrior. So stretch back and then pivot the hands to the floor. Make your way through vinyasa. Back to downward facing dog. Breathe in down dog. Hands root down, hips lift up. And we're gonna do the other leg. So let's take the left leg up now. Open the hip and bend the top knee. Point the knee to the sky, heel drops to the right hip. Look forward between the hands. Step the left foot all the way up. Pivot the right heel down. So again, we're starting with warrior one here. Front knee over ankle, come on up. Shoulders level, arms up over shoulders. Hips level, shoulders over hips, arms over shoulders, okay? And then let's take the arms towards the eagle first. So arms out at shoulder height, and this time the right arm's gonna go under the left for real. So left arm over, lift the elbows. And then lean. So we're not gonna straighten the left leg as we do this. We're gonna keep it bent, but lean. See if you can just cross the right thigh over the left, maybe toes behind calf. Don't worry if that's not possible. Lift the elbows. Gazing up and forward. Keep breathing. You can probably hear me breathing. And then unwind that top leg, feet together, knees together. Inhale, chair pose, and now we're gonna twist again. So palms together, right arm outside of the left leg. Push the top palm into the bottom. And then as carefully as you can, step the right foot back. Reach through that back heel. If you need to scooch that back foot a little further so you've got a long enough lunge, do it. Fly the arms open. Strong legs, open body. Keep your twist, float up. Reach fingers in both directions, or if you can, reach all the way back. Look to your back heel, strong back leg, deep lunge in the front knee. Warrior two, keep the lunge in your front leg. Rotate your torso, rotate, rotate. The back heel is gonna rotate down, set up the front heel and back arch so they line up. Shoulders over hips, look over those front fingertips. Breathe. If you notice the intensity in that front quad, you are not alone. Turn the front palm up Inhale, reverse warrior, and then hands to the floor, making your way through vinyasa. Find downward facing dog. And breathe here. Inhale, look to the front of the mat. Exhale, bend the knees to step or lightly hop the feet forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold down. Bend the knees, sink the hips. Inhale, chair. And we're just gonna go straight back into vinyasa here. Uttanasana. Inhale, ardha. And exhale, make your way through a vinyasa to get back to downward facing dog. We'll throw in a little bit of core work for this next sequence. So we're just gonna take the right leg up on an inhale, and then exhale, pull your knee to chest, move your shoulders forward over the wrists. Breathe. Inhale, lift the leg. Exhale, take the knee to the right outer upper arm and hover by that tricep there. Inhale, lift the leg. Now exhale, knee to the left arm. We're gonna hold for a moment, but then in a moment, after we've taken a breath, we'll kick the leg through, right underneath the left arm. Take the left hand up, twist open, breathing here. One more inhale, keep lifting the hips. Exhale, hand to the floor. Inhale, right leg back into the air. Exhale, step the foot to the front of the mat. Back heel pivots down. Inhale, warrior one. We're gonna take our whole dancing warrior sequence. So exhale, warrior two. We've been here. Inhale, reverse warrior, but we haven't taken extended side angle yet. So I know my back is to you, but this is pretty straightforward. Front forearm to the thigh, creating a diagonal from the outer edge of the back foot, along your hip, to your shoulder, to the fingertips, and then head can turn and look up under your arm towards your fingers. Breathe. Root the feet down, float up, stretch back on an inhale, and then exhale. Vinyasa, heading back to down dog, and we shall do the other side. Inhale, take the left leg up. Exhale, knee to chest, shoulders forward over the wrist. Hug the knee in. Inhale, lift the leg. Exhale, knee to the left arm and hover it by your tricep here. Stabilizing through the core, the foot is not on the floor. Inhale, lift up. And then exhale, knee to the right. So the little twist in the torso here as you're doing this. Hold. And then see if you can just, from where you are, extend the leg so it ends up right under your right arm. And then take your right arm up, twisting open. Breathe. And then hand to the floor. Inhale, sweep the left leg back up. And exhale, step it forward. And we'll take these same standing poses. So back heel roots down. Inhale to warrior one. Exhale, open out to warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior, and then extended side, forearm to thigh, top arm up and over. Give yourself that nice diagonal shape. Breathe. Extend, push into the outer edge of the back foot, and feel how that can kind of dynamically trigger those top fingers to extend and have energy. And then to come out, inhale, reverse the warrior again. Hands to the floor. Move through vinyasa, make your way back to downward facing dog. And breathe. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, bend the knees and step or lightly hop it up. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Let's reverse swan dive. So no more chair. We're just coming on up. Palms together in front of the heart. All right, let's take a nice wide-legged stance here. Turn whichever direction makes most sense for you on your mat, but we're gonna get the feet about a leg length apart. So we're using about as much of our mat as we would use in a high lunge, or the distance between our hands and feet in a down dog. Feet are parallel,
So I actually like to line up the outer edges of the feet with my outer edges of my mat, which actually means I'm probably slightly pigeon-toed, but that works. Push the feet down, lift your quads up, hands to your waist, and start to fold down. Nice and easy. This is Prasarita Padottanasana. Nice, just a simple wide-legged forward fold, really. And then take your hands to the floor. If it's just your fingertips, that's fine, but if they're way ahead of you, like almost off your mat, start to walk the hands back between your feet. If you're able to plant your palms, that's fine. As your elbows bend, as you go deeper, keep the elbows stacked right above your wrists, and then lean forward toward the balls of your feet. Lift your quads, engage the fronts of the legs, allow the backs of the legs to open. And then press the feet down, bring your hands to your waist, and use your core a little bit to help you rise back up. Let's turn the right toes forward just by pivoting on the front heel. We're gonna take triangle here, and then from triangle, we're gonna go to half moon. So if you know you like a block or something that you can have underneath your hand for a half moon, make sure you've kind of got that handy near the currently right side of the right end of your mat. So arms out at shoulder height, we're gonna tuck the right hip in. So the left hip kind of moves up and back. Sides of the body stay nice and long. Lean, extend, reach. Back of the hand against the inner shin. Top arm goes up. Press the feet into the floor. If you can, look up. To move to half moon pose, take your left hand to your hip. You'll want to bend your right knee. So it's almost like coming to a warrior two or an extended side angle, and then move your fingers way ahead so that as you float up, you're going to end up with your hand under your shoulder. Float the back foot off the ground. Keep yourself open this way. And then if you feel like you're really comfortable with the hips stacked, the shoulders stacked, and the balance is there, take your top arm up into the air, maybe even turning your gaze and looking up towards your top thumb. Turning the gaze is more advanced, but it's not impossible. So if your balance is good, it is the next challenge to give yourself. Let's take standing splits. So keep the right hand down. Just let the left hand join. Fold deeper towards the right leg and allow your left leg to lift even higher. If the hip is open a little bit, that's okay here. But if you'd rather work with a square hip, you can see if you can level the hips out with the floor, but continue to take the left leg up. And then bend the front knee. Let's step back long. We're going to come to a low lunge here, so extend the back foot. We did this earlier, and we did a side stretch, but here we're going to take it a little bit more to a back bend kind of situation. So I encourage you to, there's a couple of options. So you could just bring your palms together in front of the heart as your hips sink forward, lift your heart, little back bend. You could take the arms up and start to lean back a little bit. Or you could take the arms along the sides of your body, and as you move the heart up and the shoulders back, see if you can touch the floor. Maybe, maybe not. If it doesn't happen, don't worry, but that's what your trajectory is. You're reaching to the floor. If that head feels scary going back, just keep your head up to you. Tuck your tail into your body, so don't let the low back get crunched. And then float up carefully out of that. An option, see if this works for you. See if you're able to bend the left knee behind you. If that is too intense on your knee, like your kneecap, you have a couple options. You can A, skip it. B, you could fold the side edge of your mat double and put the knee on the doubled mat. Or C, like put some towel or something underneath it. But if you're able to, see if you can reach back with your left hand for your foot. We could pull the heel in and get a stretch for the quad, or pull away. Pull away. We do this sometimes in pigeon stretch, but it's a little different and might be a little more stable with that front foot on the floor. Maybe left hand comes behind as well. Or right hand, sorry. Pull away, heart opens. Breathe. And then carefully let go of that. If there was any degree of intensity there, come out easy. Hands to the floor. Maybe lift the back knee and step back to plank. If you want to keep the knees on the floor and make it simple, that's fine. Take a vinyasa if you want to. And breathe in downward facing dog. Inhale, look to the front of the mat. Exhale, step or hop the feet forward between the hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, deep forward fold. Press the feet, reverse swan dive. Palms together in front of the heart. Okay, let's do the other side. So we're gonna take another prasarita. We'll do the variation where we interlace fingers behind the back. So that looks like this. If you can't get the hands together, you could put something between them. Or you could, do another variation. Shoulders are gonna pull together though and slide down your back. I'll face this direction, but you now hopefully know what's going on back there. Let your chest lean. Same thing with the legs. So the feet are a leg distance apart. They're parallel. Take the arms up and over if possible, but keep the shoulder blades on your back. So don't let the shoulders drop down to your ears. Head hangs. Lean forward toward the balls of the feet again. Strong legs, lift your quads, lean forward, breathe. And then pressing the feet down, rise up carefully, carefully. And let's pivot on the left foot. So we'll take triangle side two, Trikonasana. Hips should be pretty level at this point. Arms out, tuck your left hip in, shoot your right hip back. Try to keep the sides of the torso nice and long. Back of the hand against the inner shin. Top arm is up. Notice if your arm tends to want to, if your shoulder is forward and your arm is up, the shoulder tends to jut out of the socket. So we really want to keep that shoulder in the socket. And if that means your arm's not straight up, that's fine, but try to relate your arm to your shoulder and turn the torso as opposed to letting the shoulder leave the socket so the arm can go up independently. Hopefully that makes sense. Press the feet down, lengthen the sides of the body. If you have questions about anything, any alignment descriptions that I mentioned in this video, please put them in the comments. I can try to do my best to get back to you and be clearer if I'm not clear here. Half moon, right hand to the hip, bend the left knee, and then reach the left fingers forward. Float the back foot off the ground. Reach through the heel. Try to stack hips and shoulders. So same thing with the shoulder, right? So if our shoulder is dropping down, we don't want the arm to go up because it's like disengaged. So we want to keep the arm and shoulder connected. So if the shoulders are stacked, then that arm can go up, and maybe the gaze goes with it too. It's harder, but it will help your body open more. And then standing splits. So the left hand is already down. You can just let the right hand join it. The left toes are still forward. Fold towards the left leg, lift the right leg higher. If your hip is open, you can keep it open, but if you want to square it, just see if you can drop the hips level. See if you know the difference, right? So we want to just at least be clear about what the difference is. And then take the left hand maybe to the left ankle or heel, pulling in, drawing deeper. And then bend the front knee, step the right foot all the way back, lower the right knee down, and we're going to take a low lunge again. So second side, and we're lunging, right? So obviously we're working the back quad as we lunge, we're working the left hip as we lunge, but we're also starting to think about the upper body in terms of how we're moving the upper body. So you can take the palms together, lift the heart. You could take the arms up, maybe lift the gaze, or you could take the arms along the sides of the body. Almost think of this like a camel pose where we'd lift up and back and then the arms would drop down and try to reach the heels. We're not reaching for the heels, but we might be able to find the outer thigh or even reach for the floor. And then when you're ready to come up, it's going to stay a back bend, but we're just going to work the back leg a little differently. So if it works for you, bend the back knee behind you. If this is not going to work on your kneecap, opt out. Just keep it simple. We'll be, this is only going to be a minute, so it's okay if you skip a pose here or there. Absolutely. Reach back with the same hand. You could draw the heel in or pull away, so it's more like a bow, and then maybe that left hand will join as well. And then if you're working the bow, the heel pulls away, the shoulders draw back, the heart lifts. Chin in, or if you want, you can take the head back, but the balance could be tricky here too. And then coming out of that, hands to the floor, let's step back to down dog and shake out the left leg or kick through the heel on the left side. And let's take the knees to the floor. We're gonna think about some headstand practice here. I'll talk through a dolphin first. If you don't like to take headstand, or you're just not up for it, or you're not sure that you're feeling safe, then dolphin is a backup plan. So I like to give that one first, just so there's always a default option in place. For dolphin, your elbows, elbows are gonna set up under the shoulders, interlace your fingers, press the forearms down, lift your hips off of your heels so you can tuck your toes, and then float the knees off the ground as your hips rise, like down dog. So pressing through the arms, but the head not touching the floor. And you're not looking up, you're not lifting your head with your neck. Your neck is relaxed, but the arms are really engaged. So you're creating enough space for the head to hang down between them. And then if you want, take the right leg up. This is an option, right? So you don't have to do these leg lifts, but it would just be an add-on to your dolphin. Take the foot down, take the left leg up. Dolphin, we do get the hips over the heart, and if we're lifting the legs, also the legs over the heart. But a lot of the work is happening in the shoulders here. The arms are working, the core is working to keep the hips lifted. Let's take the knees to the floor and hips to the heels now, child's pose. We may be needed at this point. Woo. Okay, so for those of you working headstand, I'm going to talk through it a little bit here. If this is a new practice to you, the most important thing is to be safe. This is obviously the disadvantage of my teaching from home and you being in your home and I'm in mine. I can't see you, so I can't see how your practice is going. I can't give you specific advice related to your body. I can't catch you if you start to fall. I can't spot you in your headstand. So you have to be responsible for your own body, and I trust that you will do so. If you need to be near a wall, come near a wall. If you need to just stay with dolphin, stay with dolphin. If you feel confident, I will give you instructions that will hopefully help you to get there. But please, the first rule is safety. All right, that's my whole disclaimer. Let's take the forearms to the floor, elbows under shoulders. And again, this is the same setup for dolphin, so if you're going back to dolphin, you're doing the same thing. If you're coming to headstand, you're gonna nestle your head into your hands. Part of the head is on the floor, not the forehead, not the top, but we want, maybe just behind the crown of the hairline. And that is gonna keep the neck in the best alignment, so it actually is important what part of your head goes on the floor. Tuck the toes, lift knees and hips, and now it feels just like dolphin, but with head on the floor. But the goal is to get the legs off the ground together. So we'll walk the feet in, and before we even try to lift the legs, we're gonna try to move the hips over the shoulders because it's gonna make it a lot easier to get the legs up. If the hips are way behind, there's no way our core is gonna be able to get the legs up because the hips are gonna drop down. So we wanna move the hips over the shoulders. And then there's a couple ways to do this. You can do it one leg at a time, and you can just practice that way, and then maybe the second leg floats up as well. If you're a little more advanced, you can work to lean the hips back enough that you can float both feet off the floor simultaneously like a pike. Now, you've got to have control here. The hips are leaning back, so as the legs come up, the hips have to tuck back in so that you can become vertical. Reach through the inner edges of the feet, the forearms press down. Yes, we are balancing. It might be a little wobbly. If you feel yourself falling backwards, it is safest if you tuck your chin and somersault out. If you're falling forward, you just drop your feet, you can just take your feet down and catch yourself with your legs. But backwards is a little harder. I don't recommend falling backwards. Reach through the inner feet. So I don't know how you went up, right? And this, you know, whether you're at the wall or in the center of the room, the same thing applies. So if you can come down really slowly, you're gonna start to build the muscles you need to come up. So maybe you're piking down, maybe it's one leg at a time, but whatever you're doing, try to keep whatever leg it is straight. Count your balance and keep the legs up as long as you can. If you're doing one leg at a time, just take one leg down, try to keep the other one counterbalancing. If both legs are coming down, take them down slow. Resist gravity to build the core. And then from here, let's stack the fists, take the forehead onto the fists, hips to the heels. So I just talked all through that. So that, you know, obviously, I don't know how that went for you. I hope it went well, and hopefully it was clear, because for me to practice and talk, sometimes I might skip something or go over something pretty quickly. But hopefully that's helpful. It's practice, right? So we're not trying to like be 100% every time. We're just getting our body a chance to learn. Okay, let's come on up to our knees, and let's go ahead and we're gonna make our way back to downward facing dog. So take the hands to the floor, press your palms, and just lift your hips, flow to it. We're gonna set up for a pigeon stretch here. Take the right leg into the air, open the hip and bend the top knee. So we're due for a hip opener. Let's bring that right knee forward behind the right wrist, let the shin cross the mat. Use the left toes to help walk the left leg back in on the top of the thigh, extend your foot, and then fold down. Now, if you have any knee issues or for any other reason you want to modify this on your back, you could come to your back, cross your right ankle above your left knee, and then pull the legs towards you with your head and shoulders on the ground. Forearms down, start to fold. If you tend to rock to your right hip, first of all, maybe just, you know, readjust so that you're not doing that. But if you find it really hard to stay up, you could put something under your hip to support you so you don't fall to the floor on that side. We want the hips to be level from, you know, on either side here. And then take your time walking the hands in and coming up. We really do want to stretch the back quad. So with the right fingers on the floor, support yourself. See if you can keep your chest up. Bend the left knee behind you. If you find that you can't reach the foot with your hand, then I recommend just laying your leg back on the floor. Walk the hands a little closer and move your torso upright just using your hands. You will get a stretch for the front of your back thigh. However, if you can reach your foot, you might be able to get a deeper stretch by drawing the heel towards your hip. At the same time, the more you can bring your shoulders up over your hips, the better you will be. If you can get your heel kind of close to your hip, there's sort of a little hand trick. It's a little hard to explain, but you're bringing the hand and the fingers and toes kind of aligned. The hand is to the top of the foot, and then you want to kind of just flip your shoulder around. So the elbow points up and you're pushing the foot down. And then you can kind of push straight down towards your hip with that foot. If that doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. And I also went for a run today, so this is actually a really nice stretch for any exercise that involves quads. So we want to that's a big muscle and we use it a lot, so it's really nice to give that a little bit longer stretch sometimes. Sometimes I feel like I just rush through this stretch. So let's just take another breath here. And then let's let the foot go, hands to the floor, step back to down dog and give yourself a chance to shake out the right leg or kick through the heel. Oh, yeah. Sometimes we're stretching and opening that hip, but sometimes it gets tight because it's intense. We'll take the second side. So take your left leg up, Open the hip and bend the top knee. Point the knee to the sky. And then just glide it forward behind the left wrist. Shin crosses the mat. Do the same setup you did on the first side. So if you came to your back, you could do the same thing. You'd cross your left ankle above your right knee and pull your legs towards you with your head and shoulders on the ground. If you needed to put a block under your left hip or something to support you and keep you from rocking, you can do the same thing here. But if you're good to go, just let yourself fold down over that front shin. Hips should stay level. Back leg should stay completely extended and relaxed. And then just fold down. Make your way back upright. Use your left fingers on the mat to move you up. So same thing, if you bend your knee and you can't reach, just keep that leg extended and move yourself up to stretch. Basically, you can get a stretch from all the way from the shoulder to your knee just by being more upright. But if you want a deeper stretch and you can reach your foot, then you'll pull the heel towards the hip. But if as you pull the heel in, you also drop down, you're undermining a little bit of that stretch. So try to keep your hips and your head and shoulders up a little bit as you draw the heel in. Same thing, if this is interesting to you, fingers and toes point the same way, and then as you start to push the foot down, that shoulder just kind of flips until the elbow is over the hand, and you can push the heel straight towards your hip from above, so you can kind of push down. Carefully release the foot back behind you and hands to the floor, stepping back to down dog. And shake out the left leg or kick through the heel. Inhale, look to front of mat. Exhale, step or hop feet forward. Let's come to a seat. All right, we're getting down to the last few things here. Let's take the hands behind the thighs and lift the heart for just a simple boat pose here, Navasana. A little bit more core. We're not going to make the core too intense. We work core through the whole practice, really. So, we're not neglecting it just because we don't do anything that targets that and only that. Let's take the feet to the floor. Pull the shoulder blades in. Point the fingers towards the hips and reverse table. Come on up. Knees over heels. Hips as high as knees. Chin in or head back. Up to you on that. And then slowly lower. One more. Hands behind thighs. Let the heart rise. Extend through the legs. We can keep it here, or if you want to go, this is usually a little bit more challenging, roll about 2 vertebrae onto your tailbone. Reach through the legs, so we're just a little lower, but you can usually extend. Try to keep your heart up here. Hold. If you're shaking, that's okay. We're going to just let go and lower down here at the very end. So one more breath, and then let it go. Okay, so let's do a little bit of back bending, targeted back bending. So I'm going to talk through one bridge and one wheel. You can take 2 bridges. If you're, excited about it, you can take 2 wheels as long as you know what you're doing and you can do it safely. Again, any deeper back bend, we just want to try to be as safe as we can, make sure our alignment is good. Doing a poor alignment of a deep pose, maybe once is fine, but if you do it over and over and over again and are constantly practicing some of these habits, it can actually start to have a bad impact on some of our joints. So we want to try to do the best we can with our alignment, or just do a slightly easier version so you don't hurt yourself. Let's bend the knees. Feet under knees. So heels are slightly away from the hips, right? So we're not going to have them right up to the hips. but they're not far away either. We want to be able to support ourselves. So we really want the knees over the heels so that we can push down into the feet. And that really is what motivates or I guess pushes into the back bend. So we're going to pick the feet, push the feet down, lift the hips up. And then pull the shoulders underneath you if you can. If you can, interlace the fingers like we did in that second variation of Prasarita. Knees over ankles. And instead of just thinking up with the hips, we're thinking push down with the feet and lift the hips up, but also move the heart towards the front of the mat, so like towards our head. And then to come down, get the shoulders out of the way first and see if you can really slowly return the spine to the floor one vertebra at a time. So a lot of control here. Articulation can actually help the health of our spine to be really mindful of it and working it in that way. And then the second time I'm going to go through wheel, but if you want to take another bridge, come on up, same way we just did, 5, 7 breaths, maybe more if you like to hold a little longer. For wheel, hands next to your ears, fingers point towards your shoulders, elbows point towards the sky. If you find yourself trying to set up in wheel and the elbows have splayed out and you can't quite get your thumbs to the floor, then your shoulders probably are not going to be able to support you safely in the pose. And I just honestly encourage you to just go back to bridge. It's okay if you can't do a wheel. If you feel like you've got appropriate alignment and you can actually push down fully with the whole underside of your hand, then push the feet and hands a little. It's mostly going to be the feet here. We're going to lift the hips and roll through the spine. Now when you get to the top of your shoulder blades, you're just going to flip to the top of your head. Set your head on the ground for a moment and then readjust your shoulders. This is where the hands are going to become important. Elbows over wrists. Shrug your shoulder blades deep into the upper back. Now push down with both the hands and the feet and float yourself off the ground. Now knees and elbows might be a little bent, but what our work is to try to straighten them. We're not just pushing back, we're not just lifting up, but we're also opening so the heart is again moving towards the front of the mat. Neck can be released here. Make sure you can still breathe. And then when you're ready to come down, if your head is off the floor, you'll tuck the chin. So you come down to the back of your head, slowly lower, and roll the spine back to the floor. Oh yeah. All right. Let's take the right knee in, left leg out. Before we come up, we're gonna do a nice twist here. Use your left hand to pull the right knee across the body. Turn your head back to the right. Maybe take your right arm to the right. And then come on back to center. Switch sides. So left knee in, right leg out, right hand on left knee to pull it across. Turn your head and look back to the left. Come back up. Hold the shins. Roll from shoulders to hips a couple of times, rolling through the spine. Last roll up, we're gonna hit a boat pose. We're just gonna try to nail it. So we're not gonna let the feet come to the floor at all. We're just gonna get that balance right away. Do the best you can. If it didn't work out, it's okay, it's practice. Reach for the feet. Push the feet into the hands. See if you can extend the legs. Keep the heart lifting. This is balancing as well, right? So no doubt about it. And if you accidentally overcompensate and roll back, you can just roll back up. Take the legs nice and wide. This is sometimes where I see people rolling back. It's okay if you do. It's fine. Let's take the soles of the feet together and come to just a short Baddha Konasana here. If you want to adjust where you are on the mat, that's fine. But lean forward. Use your elbows to gently press your knees wide. The spine can be rounded here, so don't feel like you have to be like really flat backed. It can be a little curved. As the knees press down, or as the elbows press down against the knees, push the knees slightly up into the elbows so there's a little bit of resistance happening. Come back up, take the knees in. Let's take the feet to the floor, and we're just gonna do a really simple twist here. So you can just wrap your elbows around, your left elbow around both knees, or you could take your right elbow past both, this is the left elbow, past your right knee. Take the right fingers back behind you and just turn over your shoulder. Just a little bit, so we're just getting a little bit more twisting in. This should feel, good, by the way. This shouldn't hurt. At this point, we're A, warmed up, but B, twists are intended to be relatively gentle, therapeutic. Come back to center, and just the other way. So again, you can wrap your right arm around the legs and left fingers behind you and turn, or if you're able to get the arm around to the outer left leg, that's fine too. And then untwist. Take the legs out, or if you want, you can take the hips back, but however it takes to get you to this straight leg position. We'll take Paschimottanasana, which is a seated forward fold. Flex the toes back towards you, and notice if you tend to sickle your feet in a little. I think this is a lot of people's tendency. I know it's mine. See if you can flex them evenly so that the pinky toe sides of the foot are pulling back as readily as the big toe sides of the foot. Take the arms out and up on an inhale, and then exhale. Lengthen yourself out over your legs, and if you can reach the feet, that's fine, right? That's great. But if you can't, don't worry about it. And you're alone in your home. You don't have anyone to compare yourself to. So don't worry. Don't force yourself to take a pose that's too deep or too strong. No one cares. It's fine. Find your stretch. Don't hurt yourself. Find some ease with the upper body. Maybe close the eyes. Relax the neck here. Forward folds, although yes, they stretch the hamstrings, they are also supposed to be calming. So if you feel like you're stressing or straining in this pose, stop it. Just make it a little easier for yourself. Two more breaths. And then walk the hands in to come back up, and let's cross the legs. Okay. We didn't really sit at the top of the practice, so if you'd like to spend a little longer sitting after I close the class with you, you can feel free to do so. I also encourage you to take some time and go to the floor, come to your back, and take Shavasana for a few minutes, giving your body a chance to just completely rest and restore. It really is a rejuvenating aspect of the practice. It's a counter, almost like a counter pose to everything else we've done, so I do encourage it. It is a part of yoga. I just, I'm not going to sit here and lay on the floor on the video, and you don't need to do that either. All right, so that said, let's just take the hands to the knees for a moment. Lift the spine, maybe take the shoulders back, let the head float on top of the neck. And then once you've found your seat, take your palms together in front of the heart. Eyes are still closed here. Tune into your breath. Just a small amount of pressure between the palms so that maybe the elbows lift and they're not just drooping down. And we'll close today's practice with a simple bow forward. The light in me recognizes and honors the light in you wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining me today from your home and sharing your practice. Namaste.